enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Ann Bailey. She is president of DARTS. That's a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the Southeast Metro. DARTS services include light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connections, volunteer opportunities, and transportation. DARTS works to be a community partner across generations while living out their mission of creating connections that enrich aging. You'll enjoy listening to my conversation with Ann Bailey today. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website. And we can also be found on your favorite streaming services, iTunes, Spotify, and many others. You can watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there are two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show engineer, Tom, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text me your question at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, I'll repeat them throughout the show. Also, please do not wait till the show has ended to call or text us with your questions. We often receive many of the same questions after the show has ended. So if you have a question, many others do as well. So please try and contact us during the show. All right. I want to welcome my guest for today's show, Ann Bailey, president of DARTS, a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the Southeast Metro of the Twin Cities. Welcome to the show, Ann.
Thank you, Ken. I'm so pleased to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. I tell you, we sure, the program tries so hard to get information out to our communities so they know that there's these resources, there's these services that are available. And I'll tell you, I've been doing this for several years, and we're making a dent, but there's a long ways to go. And so I really appreciate you taking a time out of your Saturday at noon here to remind us again the great work that DARTS is doing. But tell you what, before we get into DARTS, the audience loves to hear about you, understanding just your background. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you ended up getting connected with DARTS.
All right, I'm going to do a real throwback memory, the lead-in song of Saturday in the Park.
Yes.
My feet always move during that because that was a synchronized swimming song from my high school days. So
Wow.
I'm kicking my feet under the table as that music goes. So thanks for that little memory.
That's great. Well, thank you.
So a little bit about myself. I have been in my role at DARTS for the past 9 years, just celebrated my 9-year anniversary.
Wow,
spent just about
congratulations.
20 years at Target Corporation, leading IT project teams, so natural transition to go from IT to social services. And prior to or during that time while I was at Target was 1999 is when my mother passed away, and my dad was still living in their house in Wisconsin. And so it was probably 2005 or 2006 when I hit the end of the rope. So to your comment about making sure people know the resources available, I didn't.
Right.
Right? I was probably high 30s. I hadn't grown up in Minnesota, and Dad wasn't here, and my sister and I were. And luckily, we live in Apple Valley, so I wandered into the Apple Valley Senior Center, and somebody there looked at me after I probably spewed far too much information, and she said, I think it was a woman, said, "Have you called DARTS?" And for all the good advice, like call the Alzheimer's Association, because that was
Right.
what my dad's ailment was, I hadn't, and I did. And the darts person had the good sense not to tell me that they were a caregiver coach, because I probably would have hung up the phone. I wasn't looking for help for myself. I was looking for help for my dad. And so for the next 6 years, when we hit critical juncture points with my dad's care, I had a resource available to me, and by extension, my whole family, to make sure we were helping Dad make the best decisions along that path. And I feel good about looking back at how well we were able to respect Dad's wishes to live in his home as long as possible, find him a safe landing place when it was no longer feasible. I feel really good about that. And I think a large portion of that is because I was able to tap into some expert resources at Darts.
Yeah.
So with that help, which came to me entirely free,
Yeah.
I paid not a cent. My dad paid nothing. And so I became a donor because Darts is a nonprofit, was invited to join their board and was on the board for about 5 years. And when the opportunity came to lead the organization, I threw my hat in and was selected to lead the organization.
Well, you must be doing a good job because you've been there for 9 years. That's great.
Exactly.
No, that's fantastic. And I know I'm so impressed with your organization because your goals are to keep people in their homes as long as possible.
Right.
And you're right. We find that in my profession. People want to be independent. They want to be in their home. That's where all the memories are. That's the familiarity. There's just so many reasons why you want to be in your home as long as possible. And that's quite a transition,
Right.
especially when it involves a loss of a loved one, or, because two people can maybe get by a little bit longer than one person. And but it's great that your service really helps support people that are trying to, and support families that are trying to honor the wishes of the person that's in the home.
Right. And I think in this day and age, a few of those definitions have broadened. When we say home, I tend to say home of your choice. Some people want to move to an assisted living. They want that community around them.
Yeah.
And that might be a fantastic choice for somebody. Some people are fearful of that move because of the expense. So it's whatever is right for that person, and how can we augment the supports that they need so that they can be successful and engaged in their community from whatever their home base is. And the other definition that we've tried to broaden is when we say families, there are a lot of shortcuts that we use in the industry for our language, and family or loved ones tends to be a shortcut. Oftentimes we are working with people who the relationship is transactional with that parent. It's not necessarily one that comes based out of that mutual love and respect. And we want to be able to help those folks. And especially when you look at the LGBTQ plus community, family is as defined by those individuals. They might not be related by marriage or blood. They are units that have come together to support one another throughout their lifetimes.
Oh, that's fantastic. We've got a couple of minutes left in this segment. So what is the history and background of the Darts organization? You've been around for decades.
50 years this year.
I
Thank
know.
you very much.
I've got that up here on the website. I encourage people to go to the website, dartsconnects.org. But 50 years,
50 years.
and it's coming up here in August.
Right. Our big birthday party is August 1st. That is also a fundraiser for us. There is still time to register. So if you go to the website, dartsconnects.org, you will find the link to the registration. I think if you registered this weekend, we'll still get you in on the early bird special. So it's $50 a ticket to get in, and the early bird special ends this weekend. So get your registration in. There will be silent auction, in-person silent auction. There will be music. There will be games to play for chance at raffle prizes, costume party, dresses your favorite decade. So we have lots of great stuff coming up for that. 50 years ago, when all of my predecessors, the people who sat in the president's chair for the last 50 years, I'm fortunate, are all still alive and with us, and I'm connected with. So our original founder, Dick Graham, was based in Hastings, Minnesota, and when I talked to him, he uses the word community over and over again. It was the community that saw a need, which at that time was getting older adults to classes at community ed classes.
Oh, sure.
And so 1974, that was what they wanted. The community came together, bought some vehicles, did some grants, got some funding through the Older American Act, and we were off and rolling, so to speak.
Wow.
And when I look at what we do today, that tradition of innovation, of bringing partners together, of collaborating across the community, those are still core values that we live with the new programs that we bring. So our programs have altered. We still do transportation, but our programs have adjusted over the years to the needs of today's seniors, and will continue to adjust for what tomorrow's seniors' needs are. And we still will bring that commitment to community connections.
Wow, that is fantastic. All right, this is the end of the first segment here, Ann, so hold on. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to continue our conversation with Ann Bailey, president of DARTS, a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the Southeast Metro. DARTS includes services for light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connection, volunteer opportunities, and transportation. If you have a question, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free, statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging, helping older Minnesotans and caregivers find answers and connect to services and supports. Questions about Medicare, transportation, looking to move to senior housing, overwhelmed with prescription drug plans? Call the Senior Linkage Line at 800-333-2433 or visit trellisconnects.org, where we help people optimize well-being as they age. That's trellisconnects.org.
At Better Futures Minnesota, we support Minnesota's environment by working towards zero waste and the transformation of the lives of men in our workforce development model. Better Futures Minnesota engages men with histories of incarceration and homelessness. Our approach reaffirms each man's dignity, instilling self-discipline and behaviors that empower them to achieve self-sufficiency and a better future. We set hard-to-employ men on a pathway to independence through employment in our reuse retail warehouse and work crews specializing in building deconstruction, property maintenance, appliance recycling, and janitorial services. We strive to create a sustainable future where social equity, economic opportunity, and environmental justice intersect. By addressing these interconnected challenges, Better Futures Minnesota works towards building resilient, healthy communities for all Minnesotans. We believe that true sustainability can only be achieved when all members of our community can thrive. Join us in making a difference. Visit us at betterfuturesminnesota.com and donate today.
Step into a world of financial empowerment with the Do Different Better show. I'll be your host, Elaine Rasmussen. Join me Sundays at noon on AM 950 as we do a deep dive into wealth education with topics like investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. No nonsense, tell it like it is, keeping it 100 for everyday people like you. Tune in to get practical insights to rewrite your financial future. So each Sunday at noon, let's do different better. You can hear Do Different Better anytime on your favorite app. Learn more about me at socialimpactnow.com.
Hi, this is Philip Anthony, the host of the Downright Upright Show, which airs every Saturday at 5 p.m. I interview many interesting Minnesotans and listen to their ideas on how they plan to improve the lives of members of the LGBTQ community and our wider Minnesota community, and then to hear their opinions on current events. Remember, you can listen to the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony every Saturday at 5 p.m. on radio or wherever you listen to podcasts. So come and join me and continue being fantabulous.
I'm Dr. Stefano Sinacropi, an orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness evangelist, hosting the brand new Recharging the Human Battery show on AM 950 radio. My co-host Mandy Dickey and I will delve into various health topics ranging from medicine to nutrition to exercise, emerging technologies, and yes, some way out there stuff. We'll provide a balanced view of today's landscape, helping listeners navigate its complexities and hoping to change the way you think about your health. Recharging the Human Battery airs Saturdays at 11 a.m.
All right, welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Ann Bailey, president of DARTS, a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the southeast metro of the Twin Cities. And DARTS services include light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connections, volunteer opportunities, and transportation. We'll talk more about those services in this segment. But DARTS works to be a community partner across generations while living out their mission of creating connections that enrich aging. If you have a question for Ann, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or you can text us your question at 612-999-3426. Well, Ann, if our listeners have more questions or want more information, what's the best way to get a hold of your organization?
I think there are three excellent ways. One is to go to our website, which is dartsconnects.org. And when you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will also see our contact information. There's a phone number and an info@darts1.org. So if you just have a general question, and our phone line is available during weekdays, 8 to 4:30, 651-455-1560.
Perfect. All that information, folks, is at DARTS, DARTS, connects.org. And we'll reference that throughout the show, so don't worry if you missed it. All right. Well, let's talk about these great services. 50 years. I mean, just the length of time that the organization's been doing this, it does show it's meeting a need, and there's the mission that is enduring, which is great.
Absolutely.
And you've been the president for almost 20% of that time. So
fair enough. Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about what the services are that DARTS provides to the community of the Southeast Metro.
I think in the metro area in particular, and really across the state, because we get phone calls asking questions about how we are doing our transportation operations. Transportation is our roots. Mm-hmm. It's the most visible. It's our rolling billboard. Yeah. And so transportation services are the things that people know us best for because it's such a long part of our history. We provide transportation in several different methods. One is your traditional one-on-one individual. Somebody calls up, sets an appointment, says, I want to go from point A to point B. During the break, you ask the great question of, do you have to stay in the Dakota County area? We can go anywhere in the state of Minnesota. The interstate licensing would be different for our vehicles, so we can't even go over the bridge in Stillwater for the view. We have to stay on the Minnesota side. So as long as we're in Minnesota, we can do any transit. And the pricing structure for those, we don't list a lot of prices on our website because we don't want people to not call thinking that we're too expensive. Mm-hmm. There's an opportunity to pay full price like you would for medical ride. We don't do medical transit, but it'd be priced by mile and where you're going or the time of the ride. But then we also have opportunities to offer subsidized rates. So there would be discounts depending on your age, your capabilities. So we do that. We also provide rides for groups of older adults. And when I say older adult, I should be really clear. Older adult starts at the age of 50. All right, Ken, I'm guessing you and I both are in there. I'm 62, so I know I'm well qualified for all our services. And so we do groups. Sometimes it's a church group that wants to go see holiday lights. Sometimes we are providing the Target run or the grocery run for people living in an assisted living. So we do groups. And then in 6 communities, we also operate what we call a loop, which is a community circulator. Mm-hmm. So it has some predetermined stops, usually senior dense housing, like a senior apartment building. Mm-hmm. And then the stops that we go to on a particular circuit, it's called a loop because it runs circles in that community for about 5 hours. The stops are where the riders want to go. So we run community focus groups to validate where we want to go. But typically, if there is a Walmart in town, Walmart is a stop, of course. Cub or an Aldi, there's always a grocery need. And we do a lot of hair salons. And then it's fun to see that particular communities, every community has a flavor. So the Edina Loop, they want to go to Byerly's.
Oh, sure.
They want to see what's going on at Lunds Byerly's. Hastings, a lot of people are more social. So they'll go to the Y for their physical therapy, and then they'll go out to lunch. So Hastings tends to be a little more social. South St. Paul, West St. Paul, they are all about the errands, but they will run multiple errands. It's small enough that they will run to the grocery store, drop their stuff at the back at their apartments, get back on the bus and do the next run. So every community has its own flavor.
Yeah. No, that's great. And again, if people go to the website and click the transportation services, it talks about the loops there and how that runs, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly.
Right.
And stops are tailored to the community needs.
Right. Cottage Grove and Lakeville are the other two communities.
Yeah.
And each community sets their own price. So it's a one price ride all day.
Oh, nice.
And sometimes people just ride.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want the scenery.
I've heard that they'll just want to get out and take a ride. It's
Sure.
They may not have
Chat with people.
Right. It's their Sunday drive. And They can do it anytime during the week.
The really great thing about the transportation, particularly when it's loops and group rides, is the community bond that forms, that they'll talk to each other. And I remember early on when we started the South St. Paul Loop, and I had a new hire, and one of our new hire orientation options is to ride one of the loop routes. And so we were riding the loop route, and there were probably 4 other people on the bus when we were there, and they kept asking the driver where Jim was, whatever the guy's name was.
Yeah.
And Terry, the driver, said, I don't know, he's not riding this week. And that group of people talked about Jim the whole time. Where is he? Is he okay? And you know darn good and well when he rode the bus the next week that they all said, where were you next week?
Right.
Well, when we get older, we can feel a little invisible. What a great
so true.
way
Yeah.
to recognize that there are people around you who care about you and care that you're there.
Right. No, I think the fact that your organization really fosters community, like you were saying, the founder was always talking about community, and I think that's just so important. As we've all learned, as people age, isolation, loneliness, and boredom creeps in, and it's and that's what can kill people, is because they lose a purpose and they lose that social connection. And we've devised the worst torture in humankind, which is isolation, isn't it? It's just crazy. People would rather do anything other than be isolated. So I really appreciate the service that you guys are performing. In fact, you've done it for 50 years. It's pretty amazing. A real testament to the quality of work that you guys do.
Right.
No, that's fantastic. Well, we're up against the clock here on the second segment. So let's take a quick break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Ann Bailey, president of DARTS, a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families. And older adults, as Ann said, is 50 or older. And they take care of them in the southeast metro of the Twin Cities. And DARTS works to be a community partner across generations while living out their mission of creating connections, which we just talked about, that enrich aging. DARTS recognizes the transition involved in aging, and their history reflects their adaptiveness to address changing needs and aging needs. If you have a question for Ann, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or directly text us your question at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Hageland, and you're listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is celebrating 33 years of community and local art on the weekend of August 3rd and 4th. This year's event will be the biggest yet, with a record number of artists and vendors. Over 190 local and regional artists will exhibit their work, offering diverse art from clay and digital art to jewelry and woodwork. Floral and garden vendors will bring extravagant bouquets and blooming artistry to the park. And the Powderhorn Art Fair will highlight local businesses, arts nonprofits, and eco-conscious upcycle artists. Whether you're an art enthusiast or a casual buyer, there's something for everyone. Plus, enjoy sweet and savory treats from more than 20 food trucks. There's the kid-friendly family zone, packed with creative activities. And don't miss the on-site DJ providing vibrant sounds throughout the weekend. The Powderhorn Art Fair is free to the public with proceeds supporting PPNA community initiatives. Make plans to head to the Powderhorn Art Fair on Saturday and Sunday, August 3rd and 4th from 10 to 5 at Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis. More at powderhornartfair.com.
This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we're joined by an amazing team from Telling Queer History. We'll talk about how they continue to elevate and inspire the conversation around LGBTQ lives and issues through storytelling sessions and community gatherings. They have a lot going on, and we'll talk about it this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and live music from both big-name local and national artists in a wide array of styles. Before or after your show, check out the new Maggie's Lounge, a perfect spot to visit with friends. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 with cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. Crooner's Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65. A little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy. Experience wellness.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We'll talk about how civics, politics, and law affect you by highlighting a different topic each week. On this week's show, I'm going to answer 2 of your questions that were sent in and talk about the double standard of how the media treats Democrats as opposed to Republicans. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter. And podcast the show anytime on your favorite app.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Tom Winston. Today, a chance of showers and a high of 79 degrees. Tonight, clearing at a low of 64. And for tomorrow, chance of showers and thunderstorms, then clearing, high near 80 degrees. For over 45 years, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been helping you find a place for fire that works in your life with a diverse selection of fireplace products. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, just right. Welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglund, and joining me today is Ann Bailey, president of DARTS. DARTS is a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the Southeast Metro. And DARTS services include light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connections, volunteer opportunities, which we'll talk about this segment, and of course, transportation, which is what the whole organization was originally built for 50 years ago next month. All right, before we return to our conversation with Ann, though, I want to mention this show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life health care services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, 952-898-1022. And there is a registered nurse standing by to answer your phone call. Or you can visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. All right, let's return to our conversation with Ann Bailey. If you have a question for us, give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. And how can our listeners contact your organization if they have questions or want more information?
I would start with our website, dartsconnects.org. On that website, you will find our phone number. We're staffing the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, and that phone number is 651-455-1560. Or you can send an email to info@darts1.org.
All right. And that's DARTS, folks. That's like
is.
the game of darts.
It is. Yes. We were an acronym, and in about 2008, we just dropped it and said we're darts.
But there is a reason why you kind of do a lot of your work around Dakota County.
That is our origin point.
Right,
That is a fact.
But like I said, you got the Edina Loop, and you've got all, and you got, and I know you've got more people asking you to do more services throughout the southwest, southeast of the Twin Cities. So, and again, seeing those darts buses running around is great. You just know people are being taken care of. Fantastic. Well, let's talk about volunteers. They are the lifeblood of so many organizations, including mine. We are required by Medicare to have volunteers to help support the care that our nurses and our aides and our social workers and chaplains do. But tell us about your volunteer program.
So let's go back to our mission for just a second.
Yes.
Creating connections that enrich aging. And so volunteerism starts with the enrich piece. About 27 years ago, we were hearing from our older adults that they still wanted to give back to the community. And from those conversations and a need that was in an elementary school in Eagan, we started the Learning Buddies program. Back then it was called Reading Buddies, but it's Learning Buddies. And we also the next year added a Pen Pals program. I always say at some point you're old enough to age out of the Germy classroom, but you still want to be engaged, so then you write the letters to Pen Pals. So we have several ways for people to get involved. Schools are across Dakota County. We've got Washington County schools. We have a couple in Hennepin County. So we're spread across the area. Volunteers can select a school that suits them for their distance. If they don't drive, we can offer transportation options to them.
Of course you can.
So,
yes.
Exactly. We have an in. And this is the time of year when we are recruiting both classrooms and volunteers. So go to our website, and at the top of the website, there's a volunteer tab. Click on that, learn more about Learning Buddies, and send a note or give Annie a call, and she will work you through. You had asked earlier off air if volunteers receive training. Absolutely. One of the newer programs that we added really 2 years ago through a grant through the Department of Human Services is our group respite, so time for an older adult caregiver to have time to themselves. And it's called the Breathing Space. And we just increased both locations in West St. Paul and Eagan, now meet weekly, which has increased our need for volunteers. So caregivers drop off somebody typically with memory loss to the breathing space for a 4-hour time span so the caregiver can go and regenerate. It's interesting when we talk to caregivers. We had a listening session with Senator Smith, and one of the caregivers talked about how important this was, how important that it was affordable, that she and her husband, who's the person with memory loss, had determined that they didn't want to spend their life savings on this care. And she said, I love my husband, and 7 by 24 is too much time to spend with someone, even when you love them. And she said the breathing space gives her time to recharge. In my head, what I'm doing to recharge would be taking a nap or grocery shopping without constant questions. What she does is go to her volunteer gig at AARP.
Oh, sure.
So everyone's got a definition of what recharge is, and that's what hers is. Recently, we asked a couple of caregivers what the breathing space means to them and to their participant, who we call a friend. And one woman said that the energy that their spouse has coming home has a halo effect for several days, and that this spouse is typically very nonverbal. And after the breathing space, words are limited, but much more verbal and able to convey the activities and how much they are enjoying the activities. We have another group, 2 gentlemen who've become fast friends and talk to each other for their 4 hours at the breathing space. They do the activities together at the breathing space. So we can't do those programs without volunteers, because we want volunteers to be one-on-one matched with the participants, because everyone's got a little unique needs. So the group exercises don't necessarily work for everyone at the same time.
So the volunteer would be at one of those 2 locations then?
Easter Lutheran Church in Eagan and Augustana Lutheran in West St. Paul. And there's not a religious component to these. It's just great partnership for volunteers, great space to do this. Both of them have nice outdoor trails, so when the weather is nice, there's a little bit of outdoor activity that goes with the day's activities.
Yeah, well, that'll give you energy, just getting outside, having that companionship, having that time together. And I'll tell you, we've learned so much that if the spouse can just go get their hair done, or just something that takes care of them, because they're giving, like you say, 24/7. If they can do something for themselves, it just totally recharges them, and it gives them another release on life. And I know there's sometimes when my team would go in to see a potential hospice patient, and you walk in and you're looking at these 2 people, and you're wondering which one is ready for hospice, because the caregiver is exhausted, and you just feel so bad for that. And what a great thing for you guys to provide to our communities.
Right. And we also provide one-on-one respite care. All of our volunteers receive training before they go into these respite situations. Our respite care is not hands-on care, so people need to be able to feed themselves in those types of activities. But years ago, we had a one-on-one respite person providing that 4-hour in-home respite, and what happened during that 4 hours was the mother of the equation, so the spouse of the person needing care, and the daughter were able to go to lunch together, because otherwise either one or the other was always providing care.
Right. You have to take turns, and you can never do it together. Oh, boy, that's great. That's great.
The other thing is, if you want to get a little bit of exercise, yard work is done 100% by volunteers. So we have seasonal fall and spring cleanups, so those usually are end of October, end of April. Or you can sign up to be a yard buddy for the entire year, mow this year every week, last year hardly at all, depends on the weather. Snow when it snows, go and take your shovel or your snow blower over to the person's house and clear them out so they have a safe path to get out of their house, down to their mailbox, those kinds of things.
Boy, isn't it something too? We've found that the outdoor concerns that someone who may be limited to leave the home can be very frustrating, because they're so used to being out there, especially the green thumb people, out there pruning and taking care of things and making sure that yard is looking well. It's interesting. I've talked to several people who have said that is one of the greatest frustrations for the elder population, is they can't get out there and do what they would normally do. And it's embarrassing that the neighbors see the yard's not being kept up, or the flower bed or whatever.
Not just embarrassing. Sometimes that also can lead to city code violations that put their home ownership at risk. So it's imperative that we help folks. That's also that intergenerational connection, so that opportunity to talk. Last summer, we had a group who were young professionals associated with one of the chambers in the area, and they did a special project for a gentleman. And the real problem with the gentleman's yard was his wife had passed away, and yard work was what they did together. So it was too painful for him from a memory standpoint to do this. And so the group came in, they did what they asked, they got done in about a half hour, and they said, look, it's too early for a happy hour, tell us what else needs to do. And they coaxed him, he was in the yard with them, they coaxed him into telling him what all he really needed, and they worked for another couple of hours, chatted the whole time, and at the end of the day, one of the young professionals looked at the homeowner and said, "You're coming to happy hour with us, aren't you?" And he did. So those are the connections. We have yard workers who request to go back to the same yard year after year.
Yeah, and your clients are so grateful because they just appreciate so much that hour or two of help. Like you say, it just makes such a difference, and they get a new connection.
And they see people having fun. It's not a chore.
Right.
It's not like they burden somebody else. The groups are having fun, whether it's Girl Scouts throwing leaves in the air or work groups getting out in the sunny day or a rainy day in the afternoon and getting a little exercise. The groups always have fun.
Yeah. And so those are part of the volunteer services that people can come to your organization and, again, be trained and then can go out there and be a part of the communities like that.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic. Just want to make sure. So you have the Pen Pals, Learning Buddies, great opportunities there. And I think it's so great to be able to connect the seniors with the young people.
Mm-hmm.
I think
One
so
of the
often,
newer programs that we added, when you say connecting with younger people, may or may not be younger, but we saw with COVID, with the pandemic, a lot more reliance on technology. And so our older population has scooted forward with technology, and we get a lot of questions. And we do a survey of our clients every year and ask what else, where they might need help. And the request came for technical support. So we're not fixing your machine, but if you need to know how to set up FaceTime so you can FaceTime with your grandchildren, if you just don't understand how to turn apps on and off safely, we provide some fraud prevention type education for both our volunteers and our older technology users because so much changes so quickly. It's good to stay educated. And then we partner usually younger people with older adults and create those connections.
All right, it is time for a short break here. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Ann Bailey, president of DARTS. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglund, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
The Senior Linkage Line is a free, statewide service of the Minnesota Board on Aging, helping older Minnesotans and caregivers find answers and connect to services and supports. Questions about Medicare, transportation, looking to move to senior housing, overwhelmed with prescription drug plans? Call the Senior Linkage Line at 800-333-2433 or visit trellisconnects.org, where we help people optimize well-being as they age. That's trellisconnects.org.
All right, welcome back, folks. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Hageland, and joining me today is Ann Bailey, president of DARTS. DARTS is a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the southeast metro of the Twin Cities here. And DARTS services include light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving resources, resource connection, volunteer opportunities, and, of course, transportation. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us your question at 612-999-3426. All right, and if our listeners have some questions or want more information, what's the best way to contact your organization?
I would go to the website, Ken, dartsconnects.org. Right at the top, if you're wondering how you can support us, there's always a donate button available to you. There's information about our birthday bash coming up as a fundraiser on August 1st from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Wexford in Emerald Greens in Hastings, Minnesota. So still time to register for that under the early bird pricing. And there are also volunteer opportunities. Select the volunteer tab and find volunteer opportunities, or select the services tab and learn a little bit more about all our services.
Oh, that's fantastic. In fact, I just got a text here. Hi, Ken. Nice show. I'm a DARTS volunteer doing yard cleanups, as we were just talking about, and serving as a wintered blizzard buddy and for a local senior, and I love doing it. Our buddy Barbara has become a friend, and I know DARTS depends heavily on volunteers. So thank you so much for promoting the volunteers. Well, what a great volunteer that is. Wonderful. That's great. Well, let's make sure we talk about all the breadth of services. I want to make sure people really understand all the great things that your organization can help support our communities with.
Well, we've talked about that opportunity, the services, if you think about the things that help you stay in the home of your choice for as long as possible. So we touched a little bit on cleaning services. One of the other services that we have that is really, I mean, to quote all of our opinion surveys or client surveys that come back at the end of the year, godsend is the most frequently used phrase. It's our home repair service. So it's that light home repair, that honey-do list. I think of my grandmother, my mom's mom, who husband had passed away when I was little. Every time we went to visit, she had a list for my dad. And my dad loved it. Yeah. He just puttered around and fixed stuff while the women played bridge or whatever they were going to do. And that's exactly who our handyman Michael is. So we are growing that program. We're extending that into, this is breaking news, we're going to be extending into southern Ramsey County. So kind of think southwest Ramsey County. Yeah. We're going to extend. We already have extended that into southern Washington County. So if you're in those areas, the handy person services are available to you. And right now, we are booked out about 3 weeks in advance, which is fantastic. Yeah. We are staying really busy. Think of things that help you stay safe, like a handrail or grab bar in your bathroom, improved lighting. But also think of things that help you with pride of home ownership, like hanging new curtains, adding a different door handle so the safety latches are easier to grab onto, rather than the doorknob.
The doorknobs, yeah.
So those are the types of things home repairs do. When you think about how we support caregivers, first you have to define caregiver. If you mowed the lawn for somebody or shoveled a walk for an older neighbor, puts you in the caregiver category. That might not make you the full-time caregiver, but you're a caregiver. Our texters comment about helping to snow blow for an older adult. That's what caregivers do, taking somebody grocery shopping. So we provide resources and support for that individual providing that caregiving. And whether you choose to carry the label, which I didn't for a lot of years, or whether you don't, call and ask for help. I think off air we were talking about what one wish that we would have, and that's that people would actually call.
Yes.
And there's a real fear that comes with calling if you're the individual. It's that fear of admitting that maybe something is too difficult, that somebody might challenge, are you living where you should be doing? Because of your asking these questions. But preparing to be ready for those moments in your life is so much better than having to make those decisions in a crisis mode.
Right.
And most of the calls that we get seriously are crisis mode.
sure.
I was in crisis mode when I called.
Right. Develop the relationship now, and you can use it for the rest of your life.
And there are great tools out there to help you have that conversation with your family member. I think if you start from a point of empathy and trying to help them understand your perspective, that conversation isn't as hard as it seems.
Exactly. We're at the end of the show, Ann. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Ann Bailey, president of DARTS, a community-based nonprofit serving caregivers, older adults, and their families in the Southeast Metro. All right. For more information, you can visit dartsconnects.org or call 651-455-1560. All right. DARTS is a service, provides services including light housework, outdoor chores, home repairs, caregiving services, resource connection, volunteer opportunities, and transportation. DARTS works to be a community partner across generations while living out their mission of creating connections for that enrich aging. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until